Okay, so let's talk about this. TNA to AMC. When you see a company make certain strides and it feels like, hey man, this is big. This can be a big thing for them. Can be. But if we look at TNA, where they stand right now and where they have stood for a long time. When I look at the deal with AMC, me and a whole lot of other people look and say, so what? And here's why the so what comes in. TNA is in a position of without the WWE, nobody cares about what they're doing. I just watched a cage match that TNA just recently had. That crowd was so dead. And the wrestling crowds are so weird. They're quiet as a mouse. Now, different wrestlers are trying to do things to hype up the crowd. And they was having like these little, barely even lukewarm responses from the crowd. You can see that there's a lot of people who just have okay, it's like going to church. I'm supposed to say amen and hallelujah, when I'm in church. It's like they're sitting there, and even when they pan the crowd, you hear the 8 people in the crowd going, TNA, TNA. Like, look at them. They just stand there, just TNA, TNA. No real enthusiasm. Like you can see there's nothing happening in that ring that they are really getting excited about. I mean, it was a dead crowd. The only person, as usual, that really gets any real reaction is Jeff Hardy. So what happens is this, right? The end result was Santino Marella got betrayed by his own daughter. So they're trying to go with the shock value, the shock value of a action in the ring. Okay, cool. But it was so she played it the way it even happened, the way she hugged her father, the look on her face when she came to the everything. Like I guess today it's 2:00 in the morning right now. So I guess this was from last night's Impact, yeah. You could see the swerve coming. Remember how when Paul Heyman stabbed Roman in the back? Remember when he stabbed CM Punk in the back? You could just see it coming. It's like when he got behind Roman, he stood there. It wasn't just a quick battle. I don't know. It was, he had to position himself first, and you see him getting ready to hit him low. And so it was one of these things where, yeah, she hits her father low. You just saw it. It was done so sloppily, is what I'm saying. And it just got a slight reaction. There was nothing, no holy shit, no nothing, not just you understand what I'm saying? Just your own father? That's not good. It was one of those type of reactions. So case in point, I'm just watching them, and I told you this before. They have no legs. They have no heart and soul. Their heartbeat is NXT. NXT wrestlers is the face of TNA. Nobody cares about what TNA does without NXT involvement. What I find really weird about people with slave mentalities is that they continue to just be slaves and don't understand it. When you are controlled, people tell you how to see something, how to react to it, what's good and what's not. You have no judgment on your own, and you judge things based on the influence of other people. You're a slave. You're not even free in your own head. You're not free in your own thoughts. You're told what you should and shouldn't cheer for. Let me tell you guys something. The other night on Dynamite, when MJF came out, that crowd erupted. This is what you need to have in your company. Okay, as a wrestling company, you need homegrown talent that the fans go nuts for, as well as whoever was released from WWE at some point. Because here's my thing. Take, for example, a guy like Adam Copeland, who was established and through his whole career, you got to know Adam Copeland and saw him week after week on SmackDown or Raw. So here's a guy, late 40s, almost 50 now, right? Christian Cage, Bobby Lashley, Shelton Benjamin, MVP. They didn't build a reputation in AEW initially, okay? These will been, WWE, TNA, whatever, some of them other, been around. But what they do once they get to AEW, reinventing themselves, reinventing characters, Chris Jericho, okay? All of these different things that happen. When you have homegrown talent that gets their cheers is just as loud and even louder, that's showing you've invested in all the right ways in this homegrown talent. Because let me give you an example. Let's take someone like Will Ospreay. So they, if you watch New Japan or you watch the other independents, different other companies, you may be familiar with these people and say, hey man, I would love to see him in, AEW or whatever, right? That's fine. But once they get there, what do you do with them now? So this is my point. So guys like Hangman Adam Page, Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy, you see the ovation they get when they come out? That's my point. TNA doesn't have that. Nobody on TNA's roster stands out. Even Jeff Hardy would be a jobber in WWE. Do you understand what I'm saying? Even Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy, they're up in age. This is my point with them. They have nobody that comes out that is homegrown talent that people care about. A guy like Frankie Kazarian, who's their champion now, is a heel. So they have no heroes. They have nothing. Trick Williams, Kalani Jordan, all these different NXT developmental talents that's leading their brand, and that was putting, basically all the energy, all the input was put on them. The focus was on these guys, Trick Williams and all these guys, right? We saw Moose go say, here's a guy in Moose who's been around for a long time. He's a veteran, and the build up to him versus Obafemi, Moose is telling the wrestling world, this is a match he's been looking for his whole career. Okay, so your whole career, you wasn't looking to fight John Cena or Roman Reigns or somebody like that, right? Obafemi, a guy who's still in NXT, a guy who, I mean, the stupidity of the storylines and the things that people say that fans just see. But listen and pay attention. Without the involvement of the WWE, the TNA audience is dead. There's no way they should cheer NXT for coming to TNA to invade. They're cheering heels. So even when they're booing, they're still cheering. They're cheering heels over TNA, homegrown talent. Let's just be real. They dropped the ball with Mike Santana. They did all of this building up for Mike Santana to finally get his shot. He gets his shot, holds the belt. It's about as long as a hiccup. Then all of a sudden, he doesn't have the belt anymore. Frankie Kazarian has the belt, and he's doing the typical come out, walk and talk, get in the ring, walk and talk, right? Nothing is being done with that title. Nothing is happening with TNA wrestlers that people invest in and look forward to. And if it's not something dealing with these developmental guys, Let's look at Triple H's logic. Now, when people was trying to make such a big deal about the ratings war with NXT and AEW, it's funny how anytime NXT had the higher ratings, Triple H and everybody wanted to celebrate like they just won the Super Bowl, right? But when AEW kicks their ass, oh, big deal, they beat our developmental. Okay, so let's take his same logic. Do you ever see anybody on NXT or TNA come and invade SmackDown or Raw and jump and beat up on SmackDown or Raw talent? Nope. They don't even see them as qualified to do so. This is why they have them dealing with their developmental. So Davey Richards and Steve Macklin and all these guys that's been around for so long, you guys are in there going back and forth, having 50-50 matchups and struggling matches with novice guys. Guys that would go to the main roster and struggle. And this is why you got to understand too, okay? There's only a handful of people that's going to come from NXT and hold their own back and forth with a SmackDown or Raw main roster talent. What happened to Joe Hendry when he came in there and got embarrassed by Randy Orton? Have you ever seen them try to make a statement with an NXT wrestler wrestling against somebody from SmackDown or Raw? And the same thing happened. They just go in there and get squashed and embarrassed, and they're trying to make a statement with that person? No. And here's the thing about it. Joe Hendry was the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, and he got treated like a joke. Now they got him hanging out with R-Truth. Like, people don't see this, right? They don't take TNA serious. And if you ask me, it looks like the WWE are the ones booking the matches for them. TNA, and this is why I can't respect them and why I can't get into their show. I was just sitting here. I was watching some JCW. I was watching CCW. Sitting here watching Nikki Blackheart. And, of course, wrestling, the YouTube algorithm. TNA, that cage match popped up. And I have mine on autoplay, so it just goes. I have the sound down now. Of course, I don't want copyright issues. There's no need for me to record what's being, happening right now. But what ends up happening is, like I said, I'm watching this match. And that match showed you everything that I said. They have no heart and soul. They have no superstars. They have nobody that is viewed as a top-level wrestler. All of these people are just excuses. Just filler. We just need somebody to fill up the roster. That's it. None of them stand out. It makes me think about their interview that Moose did. It was Moose and it was somebody else. Might have been Nick Nemeth. It was, I forget, Ryan or Nick Nemeth. It was somebody. I forgot. But it was Moose and somebody else from TNA a couple months ago. And Moose sat there and said, we're in a much better place now. We went from having, he said, 800 to 8,000. No, you guys almost had 8,000. This is before they even had that pay-per-view. But at the end of the day, no, let's not make it seem like you're having 8,000 people or even close to that on your regular shows, on your Impact and your Explosion. Explosions is a half-empty show, and pretty much nobody talks about Explosion. And Explosion is really, let's show a bunch of old matches and then give them one current match. That's what Explosion really is. Okay, and the building's always half empty, more than half empty every show. But either way, Moose didn't give TNA talent credit for shit. This is what he said. He said, we went from having like 800 people to 8,000 people per show, which was a lie. But then he goes, and it's all because of WWE, How about, hey, listen, the men and women in TNA bust their asses to perform and entertain the fans and do our best to give them their money's worth. We come out there and we here to win. We want the fans to win, and merging with NXT, we've had a lot of fun, and give the fans something different. You get to see two different companies compete week after week, and it's a mutual respect there, and we're both benefiting from it. No, how about that? Nope, no. So he lets you know in his own words, the WWE doesn't need to do this with TNA. They don't need TNA for shit. Understand? NXT show is not being talked about based on what TNA involvement is. It's the other way around. TNA is only being mentioned. Even if you watch shows like Wrestle Talk, right? The other bigger channels that get way more subscribers and all, right? If you look at those channels, the only time, like when TNA has a pay-per-view coming up, they'll make like mentions of it, but nobody really takes the time to dedicate a whole show to TNA or majority of the show to TNA, or somebody's contract is up or something like that, or if there was some backstage heat or some like gossip or something. But and it's always like a quick mention. Nobody cares about what TNA is doing. So going to AMC, so what? They're going to AMC without having backbone. That show, that roster needs a shakeup. That show needs a lot of changes. Because they'll go to AMC, people will watch this shit and go, watch something else. That's exactly what will happen. There is nothing going on. Do you understand? Nothing in TNA that people look at. There's no dream match. What fucking dream matches are you getting with NXT versus TNA? What dream matches are you getting? And the funny thing is, Moose loved to say this when he's in the ring. I'm a fucking ring general. Just to end up losing to a bunch of fucking novice developmental wrestlers. Moose will travel, go on different companies and wrestle and put over younger talent. For what? And what I mean when I say for what in this sense is they're not even in TNA. These are people in other companies. So beating you doesn't really do shit for them. Who the fuck are you? That's what people don't understand. They don't look at Moose like Moose is one of the baddest motherfuckers I know. Moose is just a TNA jobber. That's how they look at Moose. And especially when I've sat there and watched this and had people sit right here in my living room and say, who is this big dude struggling with this little scrawny ass motherfucker? And I'm like, do you understand what I'm saying? So, hey, man, this big mother, he big for nothing. Just because you get a streaming deal. Look, NWA's on Roku, right? How many people are talking about NWA? So just because you get a streaming deal doesn't mean all of a sudden, whoo, the company just takes off. Listen, let me show you how full of shit Eric Bischoff is and all these other haters, right? Now they can finally, because they know they sound stupid if they keep trying to glaze the fuck out of WWE. So yeah, now they're coming out their face and Vince Russo, Sam Cole, yeah, now these guys have heart to say what they're saying about WWE, but they've been sucking them off for so long. Shall they just switch up real quick? Because WWE has been sucking. It's like a drug addict who's been doing drugs that when you look at a drug addict and you can see, man, this dude is fucked up. That person has been doing drugs for a long time. It just didn't start to show until now. Physically, where their look is starting to be affected by it. Do you understand what I mean? WWE has been sucky for way longer than a year as far as I'm concerned. But it got to the point where a whole lot of fans just said, man, I can't watch this shit no more. I lost interest in it. Okay. Eric Bischoff will sit here and tell you TNA is going to become a strong number 2 as soon as they get this deal. They're doing this, they're doing that. He'll find every stupid excuse to try and bash AEW. Let's look at something. TNA has been here around for 20-something years. 20 plus years they've been around. They've been on networks. They've been kicked off networks. Just to end up on a network that nobody fucking who the fuck. I have yet to meet anybody that says I watch Access TV. Okay, AEW is on TBS, TNT. Have both of their shows on HBO Max. Have all of their pay-per-views on HBO Max and Prime Video. Yet Eric Bischoff talked like TNA is in a better position than AEW is. Or like they're right on their heels, right? And my thing is, I don't care about the comparison. I just want to show you the bullshit. Here's a company that's not even respected enough to invade successfully and invade successfully on the main roster of WWE. They're going back and forth with the developmental, and they're clearly depending on this merger with NXT to carry them. They have nothing on their own. What company is carrying AEW other than AEW? And the Forbidden Door concept is not to be carried by anybody. It's to give the wrestling fans a great night of wrestling when you get some matches that you never would have without this Forbidden Door concept. So in other words, we don't have to wait till that person's contract is up. We can have this match now. We can have these feuds going on. And this is, do you understand what I'm saying? So that's what this is. This every fucking week somebody's invading NXT. Next week they're invading TNA. Following week they're invading, and it's just a bunch of nonsensical. And what's the whole mission statement in this? What's the goal? Even though I'm in NXT, I want the TNA World Championship. Even though I'm in TNA, I want the NXT World Championship. Like, where are we going with all of this? Where? And pretty much the fact that I've seen Trick Williams, whatever these female tag teams are, these females, and Kalani Jordan, and all these people who have come over there and taken all the TNA titles, and so you understand what I'm saying? My case in point, when Trick Williams won the title, you kept seeing videos popping up on YouTube about Trick Williams doing this, Trick Williams said that, Trick Williams did this, Trick Williams got the belt, right? Where's all the videos for Frankie Kazarian? Do you understand what I'm saying? There's not the same interest. It's not the same interest. And TNA is trying to copy WWE's format of come out and talk for 20 fucking minutes, then have someone come out and have a match where there's constant interference, where there's a bunch of cheating and chaos going on. We can't get a clear winner, a clean win, or when you should get a clean win, you don't. When you should, you understand what I'm saying? Every company can have a time where, now that I look at it, we should have did blah blah blah. Because even when you have a great idea, after you have the idea, set it in motion, just thinking about it and watching it, other ideas, but damn, you know what we could have did? That's always going to happen. But as long as what you're doing is effective and, hey, the fans love it, that's what matters. Nobody cares about what's happening in TNA. So having this deal with AMC, so what? See, I lost respect for TNA because you can clearly see, and I've told you this before, you can clearly see they're perfectly fine with being not under the wing, they're in the armpit of the WWE. It's like they're in the trench coat. Motherfucker, if we decide to open up and reveal y'all to the public, we will. You stay here. We dictate everything. And you can see that that's what's happening with TNA. Their shows are just weak. Their shows are just weak. They have a couple of young guys that's there that, okay, they can do some moves and all or whatever. But these guys who like little kids that built like 10-year-old little girls, they just, honestly, there is nothing going on that I care about in TNA. And you can see when the TNA audience, they just sit there like, see, don't be fooled by edited videos and little video packages. Example. When the show starts, they can sit there, TNA, right? But the show starts and first person come out and whatever's going on. There's never times where you just don't see eruptions. Now, at like their major pay-per-views, like a Bound for Glory, the fans might be they'll be a little more vocal about what's going on. because now this is like supposed to be a bigger event. Now you come into the arena and okay, shit, there's a lot more people here than usual. Okay, this feels way better now. Okay, so they get more into the show, and then a lot of the wrong things happen. Okay, but at the same time, my thing with TNA is, how do you feel comfortable knowing without NXT, nobody's caring about what we're doing? All you gotta do is look at the reaction, and when they pan just look at what's going on. Look at the shots, how the crowd is just sitting there. There's nobody going crazy for nothing that's happening in that ring. They do not have any like superstars, any real bigs. They just don't have it, man. Nobody stands out. They have nobody on their roster that make people say, hey, imagine this person versus Kenny Omega. Imagine this person versus Roman Reigns. You understand what I'm saying? Imagine this person versus Will Ospreay or Swerve Strickland. Or imagine, they don't have anybody on their roster that's like that. No. Nobody's talking about what they're doing. And when these fools sit up here and call, Trick Williams, versus what's his name? Any of these TNA guys, a dream match. Any of them. What dream match? It's just a match between two people from two different promotions. Mike Santana and Trick Williams was a dream match, and they had that little mild, half lukewarm ass chair when he won the title. Like seriously, Joe Hendry versus Trick Williams was a dream match. So wait a minute, a guy that gets squashed in like 5 minutes, a guy that's a goofball and has one of the stupidest gimmicks that I've ever seen. That's a dream match with a goofball. A guy who can't cut it on the main roster. I can already see what they're doing with Joe Hendry, and they want the fans to get familiar with him. Why? Joe Hendry will be the one guy that probably won't go to NXT when he finally signs with, WWE. He'll go to the main roster as a goofball. And because so many people like R-Truth, the fact that they even had him come out and they all, look at him, R-Truth, The Miz. Look at where The Miz is on the totem pole at WWE. Do you understand? Look at who they affiliate them with and look at who they put them in matches with. Look at who they, you understand? Joe Hendry is a goofball, man. There's nothing major about him. But they'll have him, R-Truth, Iguana Man, and some goofy segment, some little comedy sketch for the fans and all. There's nothing potent about him. And this was the world champion in TNA. So you understand what I'm saying? There are no dream matches with anybody in TNA. Nick Nemeth showed up. Remember that? On SmackDown or Raw, whichever show it was, and got beat by Solo Sikoa. Matt Cardona comes out with his old name, dressed the way he used to dress, come out there expecting some huge pop for the fans, and it didn't go that way, and he got beat. And this is people on your roster that are your main guys. And you think that WWE's involvement is to actually help TNA? No. They thought with their egos that being affiliated with TNA, that the fans would look and say, you know what, man? Let's first off, this is what they would hope would happen. Let's have this little merger, that something people would never expect to happen. This will cause more people to watch NXT over AEW. AEW doesn't come on Tuesdays. They come on Wednesdays. So whenever they would have something happen where they would come on a Tuesday, and they thought, regardless to how it happens, they just feel like they'll try to give people something, an extra reason to try to watch them. to watch NXT over AEW. Nope, it's not happening. The other thing is, with this merger, they're hoping that when someone leaves the main roster, okay, when they leave the WWE, period, that TNA feels big enough that they won't mind going there. They also feel like if someone leaves TNA, they'll go, hey, hopefully they'll look for, hey, you know what? I'd rather go try to find a spot in WWE over AEW. And that's all. Everything is to try to hurt AEW, to try to keep people away from AEW. Nothing that they're doing is affecting AEW. Nothing. They're showing their desperation. They're showing their insecurities. They're showing you all of this. And for WWE to be in the position that they're in and losing fan interest and pissing fans off, do you think anybody really gives a shit about what the hell TNA is doing? And they're not even seen as being on the level of SmackDown or Raw entertainers. Hell, they can barely even beat NXT wrestlers. So, you understand what I'm saying? A guy like Eric Bischoff will try to make you think TNA is just about to, but everything's just gonna. How are you going to become a number 2, or you're damn sure not going to become on the fucking number 1? How are you going to become a number 2 when you can't even fucking handle developmental wrestlers? Like, that would be like, in all honesty, that would be like if like guys like Nick Camarado and the Ryan Nimitz when they was there, like certain John Silver, like they take people that were like glorified. They got their notoriety mostly from being on like Dark. They were on Dynamite at some point and Rampage or whatever, but they were mostly like on AEW Dark, right? And that would be like when AEW was working. Now imagine if when AEW was working with TNA, which was way before WWE decided to do it. You saw Moose versus who? Kenny Omega. You had Christian versus Kazarian. You had they were fighting against those guys. Imagine if Tony Khan would have said, all right, I'm going to work with you, TNA, but you're going to wrestle against our roster that we have stacked up for Dark. Because that's pretty much what NXT is. Basically. That's basically what that is. Okay? And then from time to time, I remember Jade Cargill popped up and wrestled on one episode. I know Kenny Omega came out and wrestled on an episode of Dark. Stuff like that, Orange Cassidy. So, but it wasn't often. But that's exactly what that would be. So do you understand when this announcement was even made, people, this is huge, this is going to be, okay, yeah, you wishful thinking for them and all that. But I lost respect for them because, first off, what happened with TNA is the product just became so corny that I'm just like, what the fuck are they doing, man? Like, and I just couldn't find a reason to watch it. I just lost interest in it. But the fact that they actually sat there, they're like how like a puppy. You know how your puppy just want to be petted so bad, he'll just sit there and everywhere you go, the puppy will follow. You take a step to the right, the puppy steps with you. You step to the left, it steps with you. Wherever you, right, just wanting to be petted and wagging its tail. That's what TNA looks like. Whatever direction WWE goes, we'll follow you. Just take us under your armpit and just take us wherever you want us to go. And that's exactly what happens. And I feel like the fact that you guys do not fight for yourselves, you do not stand up and have anything, video packages, nothing to promote your homegrown talent, to promote your show and what you do. Everything is solely dependent on becoming more successful by being in the armpit of the WWE. Look, one thing that the WWE always do is they love to take people, and what they'll do is they'll take a wrestler, right? And they will and this is wrestlers in general that come to WWE. They take all of these people and completely, they don't want them to talk about their past, how they got into the business, where they went first, their independence, none of that. They basically want the fans to not know anything about your whole body of work. Only what you do in the WWE is what matters. That's bullshit. Imagine someone work all their life. Now you get to that time where, you know what, I'm getting ready to retire, right? Let's just picture this. And they don't want to give you your full benefits, even though you have the age and the time. You think that's fair? Oh, only thing matters is right now. Well, you wouldn't get full benefits. It was about right now because those years add up. So you telling me for every time a wrestler got in his or her car, hopped on a plane, carpool with someone, did whatever, to go from show to show, to put food on the table, to pay the bills, okay, to you know, participate in a job that they wanted. I want to be a pro wrestler, and then I get this chance to do it. So you're telling me they're in there banging up their bodies the same way Kenny Omega is, the same way Will Ospreay is, Adam Page, Swerve Strickland, all these guys, and you're telling me that, and in this sense, let's just use, the WWE guys, because that's who I'm pointing the finger at with this, okay? They're doing the same things. They're beating their bodies up the same way that Randy Orton and all these other guys were doing, right? But making a lot less money. But their career doesn't mean anything until they come to WWE. Do you know how many countless wrestlers I've heard make those same stupid comments once they come to the WWE? So your whole body of work meant nothing. So you didn't get scouted because of your body of work. They saw you in the supermarket one day and just happened to think, you look like you could be a wrestler. Hey, come out to Connecticut, man. Let's talk business. No, they don't do that. AEW will have stars wrestle. They'll cut their promos and talk about how 15 years ago when me and you were driving up and down in the Independence and things like that. They'll put photos up of them having their matches in other companies. Whereas the WWE don't want you to do that. So right now, when you overlook the fact that a guy like Samoa Joe has history with Kevin Owens outside of WWE. Do you understand what I'm saying? All of these different things. So when they come into AEW and they put these storylines together and how we're going to start this feud, where we want to take this feud and the things that's going to happen in between and everything and all of that. And yeah, just like Tony Storm told Mercedes Moné, me and you grinded it out, trying to figure out who we were on the independence together. And we both ended up coming to a place where we should have been. Like this is who we can be, who we were meant to be. And the fans, they erupted for that. They was, you understand what I'm saying? Because this is your whole life. Some of these people have been wrestling since they were 16, 17, 15. Some of them are really young, and this is more wear and tear on your body. The younger you start, the more damage, the more wear and tear. And all of these people, think about it, they have been in the position of trying to make it to the big times. Well, until AEW came around, there was no more big times other than WWE, because TNA is not considered big time. They're in a position of, okay, they're somewhere in here. Okay, from bottom to the top, TNA is like here. They're just above here. There's nothing major about TNA. Okay? When is, for example, the last time you saw them go to like the UK? Remember how they did in the past and they had nice crowds? When was the last time you seen them go to Australia, go to these different places? When? Do you understand what I'm saying? They're in a position right now. If the WWE ended this merger right now, TNA has nothing. It's just the same TNA. That's it. The WWE is still trying to figure out how they can position them. What can we do? How can we... Is it possible for us to do anything with TNA that will help us somehow get one up on AEW? They're still trying to figure out. Outside of NXT, TNA has no storylines. They have nothing that anybody even talks about. We live in the era of social media, and people want to be able to go to work. They want to be able to text. They want to be able to, hey, you seen TNA? Hey, you see, right? Who's doing that, though? And this is my whole point. TNA just doesn't feel big. And when we watch your champion get squashed in 5 minutes, when we watch these developmentals come to your company and win titles, that your homegrown talent, that you don't know who you want to put the belt on within your homegrown talent, but all of a sudden you get involved with NXT, they come in, they take all your fucking titles. And your product gets more attention when those people walk onto your show. Not because of what you guys do. And even at a Bound for Glory or whatever, they want to see what involvement TNA is going to have with NXT. It has nothing to do with TNA. What are the NXT people going to do? What match are they going to interfere with? What's going to, right? How is this going to go down? Bound for Glory, they had their chance to do things right, because even like when they interfered, I forgot who the match was against. It was I think Javon Evans. It was one of their younger talent against a TNA NXT talent, and the match was going back and forth. Then they did the whole 5 more minutes or something like that, because it was a time limit draw. And then NXT comes and gets involved, and they got a massive boo because it was like, come on, man, this is bullshit. Let the match play out, right? They could have still got involved, but after the match, here was the thing. Let's not let anybody get pinned. Now, of course, every fan is not going to like every decision that you make. Of course, there's going to be, I don't care what company it is, there's going to be something you do and people go, oh, they should have did this or that. But I'm saying, in all honesty, TNA is so reliant on WWE that it's like they can't even focus on who they are. TNA needs its own attitude, its own character, its own heart and soul, and its own leg to stand on. It's not a mutual respect with TNA and WWE. It's a we lead, you follow, and that's the deal. And you can clearly see that that's what it is. They have absolutely nothing going outside of involvement from NXT. So how do you go into a deal with AMC feeling confident that in the future this will become a strong bond and a strong business relationship if WWE isn't involved? Because your creative direction is complete crap. It's not there. There's nothing going on. Nobody can give you one storyline from TNA right now that don't involve somebody got attacked from NXT, and we want to know who was involved, and everything is surrounded by NXT. As I said in the opener, the faces of TNA are NXT developmental wrestlers. And like I said, where's all the promo? Where's all these videos for Frankie Kazarian? You see, they lost their way. They lost their identity. And they're perfectly okay with it. And that's the bad part. They're okay with it. So, you're on AMC, NWA's over there on Roku. Where's the buzz? TNA is no better than NWA. NWA storylines, like I said, it's hard to follow the shit. Like, you watch it and it's like, okay, either you like the matches or you don't. But in terms of the promos and everything, it's weird, man. I'll give you an example. A guy cut a promo and he was talking about NWA greats. And this guy said, I'm pretty sure guys like Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair are turning in their graves watching me. Some guy calls himself the Thrill Billy. And I'm like, you idiot. Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat are still alive. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, do you understand what I'm saying? And the fact that they didn't edit that shit out, because it's not a live show. What the hell are you talking about? This wasn't, oh, he said it on purpose. No, like, are you serious? Ricky Steamboat and Ric Flair somewhere there, and they're turning in their graves going, my God, this guy is good. So this guy thought these guys were dead. Yeah. And this is what I mean, how bad things can be. So, but TNA is no better than any other company. They don't have. There was a time where TNA would tell you they had the best wrestling roster in the world. They had this, they had that. Remember, they had Killer Cross. Fuck Karrion Kross. They had Killer Kross. They had him when he was in shape, okay, and they had him when he was younger and when he was more, They had Shinsuke Nakamura. They had so many people. These people, TNA at one point, like I said, I feel like their presence was needed. And they gave the people somewhere else to go as well. But they didn't have the money to pay these guys what they were going to demand. Which means, hey, man, as soon as the WWE decide to call me when my contract is up or whatever, I'm gone. And that's pretty much what happened. And this is what people was hoping would happen with AEW. And as I said, when that crowd goes crazy for the homegrown talent, you're in there. Because if the only thing that gets them on their feet is, oh, a former WWE person is now in AEW or TNA or anywhere else, that doesn't say a lot for your company. Why? Because when those stars decide that they don't want to stay, they want to go re-sign with WWE, then what does that leave you? And one of the things that these companies have always done wrong is they take all of these WWE guys, they bring them in, and when they bring them in, they dominate. So when they leave, that person left and beat all of your current champions. That other person left, beat all of your current champions. That other person left, beat all. So you basically just have a bunch of excuses for champions. You understand what I'm saying? And that is where you can see Tony Khan understands now, whereas other people didn't. So how do you take a company that's 6 years old that made the strides that they made? Who gives a fuck? Billionaire. Ted Turner was a billionaire. And you always hear Eric Bischoff, these guys say they were trying to play catch up to WWE all throughout those years. And okay. So just because you got money doesn't mean that you make good decisions or the best decisions or whatever. So yeah, just saying, y'all, don't let these guys put this poison in y'all heads, man. I just don't respect TNA anymore. I lost interest in them because the product just got corny as hell, but I just don't respect them, man. I mean, the involvement of TNA, of NXT, is not so much of what the issue is. It's the fact that they have nothing on their own, and you can see they're a bunch of yes men. And they're probably scared that if they do stand up and say, or just simply go a different route with how they push their show and not agree to just having, WWE go in there and run roughshod through them, because that's pretty much what's happening. There is nothing, and you guys know what I'm saying is true. There is nothing that they have going on that you have. When is the last time? Fuck, last time. When was the first time somebody came to you and said, hey man, I can't wait to go see TNA tonight? When was the last time someone did that to you? Or even the first time? It's not even being talked about. I tell you this, man. I tell you this. If we're gonna play this streaming deal, this right, I hope FCW can get better. Because they have Vince Russo working with them now. They reached out to him, right? They I guess look at his experience in the business and feel like maybe obviously they at least hoping that he can maybe do something to turn things around. But let me say this, because I do enjoy some of the stuff I see happening, JCW, but the changes that they need to make. Okay, first off, like one of the buildings that they're in, they have plastic hanging all up over the place. I gotta clean that up and make the place look better, man. Make it look more like a fucking respectable building to be in. They have shows after every wrestling event, right? So Vince Russo said they're doing like 12 shows a week. These guys, with so it's difficult for him to have to write for what they're doing. And okay, clean up the place. It needs a facelift. Okay, clean it up. Make it look like, hey, this is okay. This looks like somewhere you want to go to have a wrestling show, and that's why the stage look like it does. If you notice, it's like a platform, and the fans are around it. So when they come out, you got like literally like a handful of people sitting right there and right there, but the majority of the crowd is facing, the ring, because it's a stage. So you understand what I mean? It's like a stage area. And they have like little tiny monitors that, you understand what I'm saying? That's one of the first things I'd be looking at is a facelift for the building. Okay. But two, his writing, Vince Russo is spending a lot of time in front of the camera. A lot of time. Vito beat up one of their biggest stars, and that's arrested by the name of Cocaine. Vito hasn't wrestled in a long ass time. He hasn't done anything relevant in a long ass time. I don't remember him doing really much of anything relevant. I remember him most wearing a fucking dress. But basically, he goes up and beat up Cocaine in the bathroom. Vince Russo, you beat up that kid. Called him a kid. And I'm sitting here going, Vito's not a big deal in wrestling. And he's in there beating up the talent. Grabbing people by the face, slamming them against the wall. Like what the fuck? And I said, okay, this is not good. You see, this is what I'm saying. If JCW gets a streaming deal and they get in a better position, okay, what's going to happen if Vince Russo is doing things like that? What's going to happen? People are going to be all over that. Like, okay, what are you doing? You beating up the talent? Vince Russo's always trying to punk somebody, getting in their face, snatching stuff from people. Like, you make the talent look like a bunch of soft bitches. You can't go in the ring and wrestle. You understand what I'm saying yourself? But you're coming in here trying to act like a tough guy. Vito was walking around here beating the talent up in bathrooms and slamming people around and grabbing them by the face and just making them look soft. They're depending on bringing someone in that can help them with the writing, help improve the show. We'll see how it goes. So far, same old Vince Russo, and I haven't seen anything happen that I really feel is beneficial to JCW long term. I really haven't. Like I said, just people tuning in to go, okay, let me see what Vince is doing differently or whatever. But as far as the shows go and the storylines, I haven't seen much of any real change. The only thing I've seen is Vince getting a lot of screen time, and in terms of the creativity, and I mean it's really nothing happening that I can say really got me feeling really any different about the show. But I do not mind watching JCW. I am getting a little sick of everybody wants to come out. All the females always want to come out and twerk. Like, god damn, come on, man. There's always something with this twerking shit, man. But it's just case in point is this. They're not dependent on being carried. They brought someone in that they are confident in, or at least hoping that it can make a difference. But at least they're standing on their own two legs. At least CCW is standing on their own two legs. Every other company is standing on their own two legs. TNA isn't. And when anybody try to make you think TNA, I mean, I care less what people like better, but to try to make you think TNA is doing better or in a better position or giving a better show, a better product than AEW, man, please. Please. Not even close. Not even close. And the fact of the matter is they're attached to a company that's losing fan interest, that doesn't care about their fans. Now, if they don't care about their own fans, How much do you think they care about TNA? You know what they're like? It's like a person walking down the street, right? And let's say cars are coming close to the curb, right? And it's a narrow sidewalk. And the person say, "Hey, do me a favor. Yeah, come walk on this side. I'm gonna walk on this side." Why do you think that person is asking you to walk on that side? Yeah, let you be the crash test dummy. So if somebody get hit, it ain't gonna be me because they don't want to tell you that, right? But yeah. Oh, I just feel better when I walk on the right side of the street. Yeah, yeah. Maybe one of them big trucks might come by and swipe your ass in the back of the head with the damn mirror or something or whatever, right? But they're using you to shield them. The WWE is not trying to help TNA. If TNA can benefit off of any of this, right, and however they have been benefiting, it's only because of the involvement. But like I said, what do you have outside of that partnership? If you watch a show, if we were watching TNA right now, saying, yo, the writing has gotten better, the shows are better, hey, the wrestlers, the attitudes are different. They don't feel like a bunch of second-rate wrestlers now. They all feel like top level. They feel like, hey, I think this dude will beat Roman Reigns. I think this dude will beat Kenny Omega. Will be a great match with Kenny Omega or Roman Reigns. No, they don't have any of that. I would love to see this No, they don't have that shit, man. These guys don't stand out. The women don't stand out. In fact, a woman like Danny Luna, who's been there for so long, she gets overlooked. But Kalani Jordan gets the belt. You know what's funny? I don't know what Kalani Jordan did. Maybe it's because I don't know. But the fans boo her, and it's not like a boo, you're such a great heel. It's like a boo, we just don't even like you anymore. It's like when they turned on John Cena, when they turned on Roman Reigns. It's that kind of booing. They just boo her. They don't like her. But yet, she was the one walking around as TNA Knockouts champion. So within the ranks of NXT, those fans are sitting here booing this person, and that person is helping carry your company. Trick Williams, all these guys. The TNA roster is weak. They don't have people that stand out. The people, like example, Rosemary is nothing but a person they use to get everybody over. Danny Luna is a person that's there. She had a heel turn, and she's been there for quite some time now. She's basically just, I don't know how they see her. They're still trying to shove Tessa Blanchard down people's throats with Victoria Crow. I mean, they just have a weird ass roster, and they have nobody that stands out. And when my point is, when you look at their roster and you think the two most liked people in their company is Jeff Hardy and Joe Hendry. We get people respect Jeff Hardy because of, he's been a popular guy in the body of work he's already had in his career. But I'm saying, that's my point. You don't know of Jeff Hardy because of TNA. You understand what I mean? And Jeff Hardy came to TNA in the early days of TNA. A lot of people don't remember that. But that's my point, is all your so-called homegrown talent, they're just puppies now that nobody cares about. Or they have potential. AJ Styles, who is a homegrown talent of TNA, he came out at Bound for Glory to go raise the hand of one of the young talents in TNA. Didn't wrestle, didn't say a word. Just came in there, his music hit, the crowd cheered for him, he came out, and all he did was got in the ring, raised the guy's hand and pointed at the guy and left. That was it. That's the type of respect that WWE has for TNA. So, yeah, they're on AMC, so what, man? And I'm not saying this like, I take none of this stuff personal. I just give you, what the fuck would I take it personal for? I know a lot of these other people do. I don't. So don't be getting me mixed up with them because I'm giving you views on something. But I'm just being raw and I'm being real about it. What is going on in TNA is a thing of I don't feel like the fans is confident in TNA. I don't think they even know what they're supposed to feel about TNA. They just see TNA involved with the WWE, and they're trying to understand what's really supposed to be going on here. Because going forward, when they, have anything going on and NXT is not involved and people are realizing, like, okay, on your own, like when they see the same things I'm seeing, on your own, what do you have without WWE? Why should we invest in you? Like what is it that this company has that without the WWE we should feel strongly about? Now think of every TV deal they've ever had, whether it was FSN, Spike TV, even Access TV. It had nothing to do with WWE and nobody else. It was just them. So whatever network felt comfortable that, we think we could work with them, right? This is my point. According to Moose and according to, other people in TNA, if it wasn't for NXT, they wouldn't even have a shot at this deal with AMC. So if you feel like you owe it all to WWE, like you said, what is going to change for the better for TNA? What? And we already know how this works. Look at the Juggernaut. Look at what Jordan Grace was. She was a fat girl at one point. Remember that? Then she got all jacked and got strong. And yeah, she came in there and she was the Juggernaut. Now look at her. She's smoothed out. She's not as muscular. She lost all the muscles. They turned her into a diva. Joe Hendry was always a clown. But I mean, just think of what I'm saying. They basically got her there. A 13-year veteran is wrestling in a developmental league of the WWE. Why is Jordan Grace not on SmackDown or Raw? Why is she still in NXT, struggling to beat 4-5-year wrestlers? Why? Why? This is what they do. You might have dominated over there in AEW, or you may have dominated over there in TNA, but when you come here, we're going to put you through the ringer. And we remember when AJ Styles came out that Royal Rumble when the crowd went crazy for AJ, and then he went and lost to Chris Jericho, I think 2 straight times before he finally beat Chris Jericho. Remember that? And then I said, no. Remember how he could never beat Randy Orton? See, I watched them and I said, yeah, even if they see value in you, they still don't want to position you to a point where you were like up here. If Triple H would have been dominant when he was in WCW, it's a strong possibility that more than likely Triple H wouldn't be where he is now. You know why? Because now I'm going to take the greatest thing, or one of the greatest things that happened in WCW, and he's going to come here and dominate. No. They were going to find a way to fuck him over. And what I'm saying, things might have happened business-wise to where things didn't click, certain things, and then it didn't work out. And that's what I'm saying. So Triple H more than likely wouldn't even be where he is. You see what they did to Sting. You see what they did to Ric Flair. People can talk all the shit they want, but you see what they did to Ric Flair. You see what they did to all these other people that came from WCW or the NWA that was already established. See, Triple H left WCW as terrorizing. And he hadn't really done much of shit yet. So once he came to WWE, now we can shape and mold him. That's what they do. They'll take you if you haven't really did much yet, or you did something but you didn't really become a superstar. They can work with you. But if you are already an established star, no, we can't put you on the same level as the guy that's homegrown talent here. That's what the WWE has always done. That's what they've always done. And that's why I said they're probably going to put Jade Cargill, on some tag team bullshit. And what the camouflage is that Bianca's carrying her. No, they put her in a situation. You know what it's like? Imagine this, right? Imagine you drive a commercial vehicle. Now, you drive a big-ass commercial vehicle and you're used to driving it, But now you drive another commercial vehicle, but it has different parts. So you know how to do your pre-trip and all that stuff and what to look for, you all that. But now you got to learn other parts of this truck and do things. You understand what I'm saying? And so instead of training you properly, they stick you with a person that just have conversation. Oh yeah, I do this, but they're not really explaining and okay. But now once you learn it, you get it. And you're just as good or better than that person that you've been working with. But you haven't been trained properly. You understand? So my thing with Jade Cargill was Jade Cargill knows how to wrestle. Jade Cargill hasn't been wrestling long. But WWE, decide they want to use Jade Cargill the way that they want to use Jade Cargill instead of letting Jade be Jade. Right? But now look what happened. They know. Somebody, put it like this. They know Jade Cargill doesn't want to go to TNA. She's not going to go to AAA. Right? She's not going to go to New Japan. We lose her, she's going to go running right back to AEW. Do you understand what I mean? And we know what she was in AEW. That's why we couldn't wait to get her. And we was glad to get her once she decided she's going to come jump ship with us instead of stay there. And that's all that really is. People, oh, they should send her back to the performance. All this shit that you guys are saying. And you think that Jay's going to, you're going to just bitch me. Nah, Jay would have packed her bags and fucking left. Okay, nah, fuck this. It's not what I signed up for. You understand what I mean? And no, they don't want to be seen as we failed Jade Cargill. Because pretty much that's what was going on. And people, oh, well, she's supposed to learn. She's supposed to, shut the fuck up, man. Bottom line, that's because these people are slaves to the machine and they don't understand. These fucking people, okay, we're moving her all wrong. Let's take what you call a regular job. Anybody who's ever worked in a warehouse, and especially if you worked in several, I've worked in 5 my whole life, okay? And let me explain what happened in every single one. Every warehouse I worked in had different setups. And every one of them, this is what happened. Yeah, so over here, this is, where we send everything on a conveyor. And then you see this machine, it takes it down there. And then this guy does this and this. And so, yeah, and pretty much, our shift is this, that, whatever. Okay, so I'll be right back. And that motherfucker never come back. And you know what they're doing? They want to see if you're a self-starter, if you're just going to watch with it. Because that's what you're supposed, that's what they're hoping you do. Let's see. You're watching. Okay, what does everybody do? Or you're just going to stand there and wait? Nope. All right, what is everybody doing? Just walk away. Look, all right, I'm new here. How you doing? My name is such and such. Supervisor said he'd be back. It's been like 20 minutes. I'm standing here. What can I do? You understand what I mean? Give me something to do. And it's not about you really being taught. It's about you watching and then jumping in. You notice on the application where it says, or the advertisement for the job, when you look at the job description, what do they always put in there nowadays? Must be willing to work with little to no supervision. I'm the kind of person, teach me what I need to learn and then get the fuck out of my way. Simple. You understand what I mean? So how do you fit in? And you have different stations. So, hey, look, man, I've been over here already, right? So I want to work all of this shit. So we don't have situations where you get call outs. You stick me somewhere else, and then I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And everybody, that's the hardest is when because everybody's working and moving, and nobody wants to take the time to show people shit. That's how things happen. That's incompetence of a supervisor. Management team, period, that you bring workers in and don't have them trained properly. Just stick them somewhere. And a lot of times people are doing things, but they don't understand why. They just doing this. This department is called what? And what do we do? Oh, and we do this. Oh, we prepare that for them. That's what it's supposed to be. So it's no different. Wrestlers are supposed to keep themselves in shape. They got to find time to make it to go to the gym, do whatever all of that, right? But to fine tune your skills and everything. The whole point is, the difference in this is when you're in that ring, they're trying to groom you to wrestle in the style that they want you to wrestle into. Instead of, let me see what this person has. Let me see their strong points. Let me see their strengths and weaknesses. Okay, we know how to work with No, that's what they don't do. At least not with Jay, they didn't do it. But they see it now that, nah, we just got to let her be her, man. And now if you look, all she does is walk around that belt on her shoulder, staring people down and talking shit, then go in there and have a 3-minute match. And then leave. And then don't wrestle the next week. Then don't wrestle the next week. Then don't wrestle the next week. You understand what I'm saying? So, with everything that's going on, that's being talked about, what is anybody talking about that involves TNA and only TNA? So what's supposed to change just because they go to the AMC? So everything I just talked to you guys about, you've heard being talked about already. Until TNA grows some balls, until they get their own legs, their own identity, they get to the point where people are watching them for them. What does this mean because they go to AMC? I don't think TNA will ever go back to what it used to be. I don't think they know how. And again, what's the guy name that walked away from them? The old Frankenstein guy. Like he said, they don't know what the hell they're doing anymore. And he walked away. And when he said it, I agreed with him because I had seen it myself. It didn't just start now. When they got rid of, what's my man that went over there, Scott D'Amore, and he went over there and started running, his Canadian thing over there. Just saying, y'all, this has been, things don't just develop, oh, it just happened, okay, boom. No, it's a work, and it leads up to it. TNA is not what it used to be, man. And let me explain something to you. When you sell out a crowd somewhere, great. When you have a big live gate, great, all that. But I really don't care about all the stats and numbers. I'm all about the show being, entertaining, being a good product, and the people being good to the workers and being good to the people that's causing them, okay, to be successful and do all that, because that's pretty much what's happening. And that's what it's about. But once you show me that you're scumbags, I have nothing to do with you. And as far as TNA goes, they're just weak. No spine, no backbone. How the fuck are you going to make it on AMC or anywhere else successfully when you don't even have your own fucking identity? And this is pretty much where this is going. So until I see a change, which I really don't even watch TNA, really, like I said, I'll see highlights of certain things that happen. I don't not watch them for the same reasons I don't care for WWE and watch their shit. They just got corny and I just lost respect for TNA. I really did. They just, like I said, man, they're a bunch of bottom feeders. I have to just be honest about it, man. And when I see what I see, and I don't see a change in anything for the better. I mean, what's supposed to happen because they're on AMC? People are going to tune in and just start watching this show, even though they're not even watching NXT or Raw, SmackDown. No. People that are going to watch them are really people that's already watching them. And for the people that don't have Access TV that want to see them, yeah, maybe they will get an increase in their audience. But as long as you're playing second fiddle to a company that you're working with, I mean, what do you think is going to happen? Like, what do you think is going to happen? They're going to look at you and not respect where you stand and go, this is huge. AEW has acquired AAA. All you see happening is more AAA videos popping up on YouTube now. Because of the algorithm, and you watch, who the fuck is coming to you talking about AAA? You understand what I'm saying? So all of this different shit that people try to make you think every day is when they tell you something's epic or something's huge. They always want to use those words, but when you really look at it, what's actually happening? And think, if you will watch an episode of something just to see what it's like, and the next time you watch that particular show is like a month later, 3 months later, then you watch it again, 1 week, miss the next week. Do you really care about that show? Nope, it's just something to watch for that moment. Oh, I remember this is where we are with shit, with a lot of shit now. And yeah, The Eric Bischoffs and all the other people that want to see AEW fail for whatever stupid reason, it's crazy because, again, TNA is a company that Eric Bischoff said was going to fucking go out of business. Ric Flair said it about him too. A whole lot of other people, Booker T, a whole lot of other people said that shit about him. But when you look at it, and look at where AEW's doing it, look at where TNA is right now. And let's not forget, Eric Bischoff went and was working with MLW, who talks about his work over there or anything he's done over there. You see the point what I'm saying? But here's a guy trying to tell you how great TNA is and what they're doing and it. And this is one of the reasons that companies fail too. Because people try to put certain hype behind something and then you watch it yourself and you're like, I don't see it. And that's why I say, watch whatever you watch without the negative influence and see how you see things. And I guarantee you, people are like, yo, you know what? For real, they just hating. This shit is good. Bet you sit and watch an episode of TNA and it's like, okay, what the fuck did I just watch? But somehow, TNA is on fire. Nobody's talking about it. It is what it is, man. That's all I got for you guys. Catch you guys in the next video.